Good afternoon. Good afternoon to SK Sahuji, Dr. SK Sahuji, and good afternoon to Dr. Naik Babu, and also for the other panelists, CA Rishabji. CA Rishabji is a chartered accountant, as well as he has MBA from IIM Ahmedabad in finance and taxation, and other panelists, Mr. Vivek Gupta ji, and he is BTech from IIT BHU and also masters from IIFT. So good afternoon to all of you, panelists and other delegates. Let us start the agenda. Today's sessions we are talking about, we are three panelists. We want to cover the subject, which is very important subject. Hello.
I request everyone to please put the microphone on mute mode kindly.
So okay. So in the Zoom or this type of presentations, virtual presentations, if all others are muted, then the audio clarity will be there, no noise disturbances will be there, so that we can proceed finally. So we are three panelists, we are covering the subject. This is very important subject because as Sahubabu has told you, the MEIS scheme, which is like a mostly incentivized scheme, is going off. Then what is the next? Because we are not yet prepared for the next, this is the preparation we are making, because by 31st December the MEIS scheme will go off. Then the alternative scheme we should have, otherwise what are the benefits we are getting from MEIS scheme will go off. So to that extent, our exports will be not competitive to that extent, because MEIS is incentivizing 2 to 7% of the FOB value of the exports, means that is almost like our profit margins. So that is, if it going off, then our exports will be difficult to compete in the international market. So government has proposed this alternative scheme, but the rates are not being fixed. For the rates only they are calling information data from the industry. But as of now, what we are feeling is that information is not coming through from the industry. So what we, all the panelists, we thought of, we will give a wake up call to all the exporters to invite the data, to invite the information, so that they will be prepared in next around 2 to 3 months. Therefore the rates can be, government can fix the rates. Otherwise government also can't do anything, because Sahubabu also told you that because of the WTO some restrictions are there, because MEIS scheme is not treated as a WTO compatible scheme, so that scheme will go off. So we should be, in replacement of that scheme, we should have some other scheme which will incentivize the exporter. Actually it is not incentivize, actually I call it, but it is only refunding or rebating what are the taxes are being incurred in the entire value chain. So we have incurred many of the taxes or levies and state level and central level, but those are being not properly refunded or not properly rebated. So therefore the scheme is called for, and that is why we call it a wake up call, because still till now no information is coming from the industry. And though this has been assigned to all the Export Promotion Council and commodity boards, they are rigorously following up, but nothing is coming up. So if it is not there, then whether we will be able to compete in the international market, that is a big question mark. Already our economy is in a downturn, our exports are fallen very sharply, and because of the corona or whatever may be, even before the corona also our exports are not as expected. So in the absence of these schemes, then whether we will be competitive or not, whether we can stand in the international market in price wise. So that is a big question. So that is why we made it as a wake up call. Okay. So this agenda, first we'll go with this overview of the export promotion schemes. Background I will tell you briefly. Then what are the different taxes and other things we are not able to get the refund. Some brief introduction I will give you. Then MEIS, of course, as told you what is the background of the MEIS and why it is going off. That is also I will inform briefly. Then the new scheme when the government is introduced and what are the informations are required briefly, that I will inform to you. So what the salient features of this new scheme also I will inform. Then followed by other panelists, they will give some case studies and industry specific they will discuss, and more details insight into what are the requirements they will discuss. So that is how this agenda goes. So we know, everybody know that it is in fact universal principle that while we are making exports, taxes and duties should not be exported. That means whenever we are incurring any of the taxes, duties in the domestic market or while importing of the goods required for the export production, so those taxes, duties supposed to be refunded or rebated. Rebate means exemption, either exemption. If it is not exempted, then has to be refunded. So this is the basic principle, operates across the world, and this principle is well accepted by the WTO also. So it is WTO compatible aspect. But at present we have different type of schemes are there. Government is to promote, they are giving the different type of schemes. Some of the schemes I'll show to you. So these schemes, some of the schemes are not compatible with WTO norms. First of all, one is MEI scheme. The purpose of it is because we are incurring lot of taxes or lot of costs we have been incurring in the export means goods transportation or logistics or various other related costs are there because of our poor infrastructure. And also it is a well known fact that our Indian logistic cost for export is around 14%. So this 14%, because of the infrastructure related or logistic related costs are being incurred, to that extent our exports are not competitive in the international market. Though government is giving lot of promotional schemes and all things, our exports are not going up. Actually, when the current this export promotion scheme is introduced, that time means 2015, that time it was proposed that we want to target for the double the exports, but hardly any export is happened, not doubled, from around say $440 billion to now it is to 500 around $30 billion. Now this year of course because of the corona we can't say anything, but till the last year financial year it is around say $530 billion. But it's supposed to be more than $900 billion as proposed. But where the gap? Because this, though we are giving the lot of export promotion schemes to promote the exports, but exports are not picking up. The basic reason behind it, lot of other means costs also been incurred by the exporters, which are being not refunded. Though there are various schemes are there for the refund. I will talk one by one scheme briefly. Then you will understand what are the schemes are available. As I told you, this MEIS scheme, merchandise export from India scheme. This is the objective is to offset the cost incurred towards the infrastructure inefficiencies and associated logistic costs. So therefore, in this scheme, the DGFT will give you transferable duty credits, I mean scripts they will give, credit scripts. That scripts can be transferred or you can import at that time, that duty amount can be offset through this scheme. So this is one type of scheme they encouraged, so that exports will be competitive around 2 to 7% depending upon different items they will give as a percentage of the FOB value. The second scheme is advance authorization scheme under chapter 4 of the foreign trade policy, and this scheme is of course WTO compatible. Here the raw materials, packing materials, consumables or other inputs what is required for the production of the export products allowed to import duty free. Otherwise also Indian also you can have some provision is that the deemed export provision is there. If you procure from India, deemed export provision can be allowed, but that is not much attractive. So most of the people under advance authorization going for import, and they import the raw material, packing material or consumables or other inputs which are required for the export production as per the CN norms, means inputs output standard norms, standard input output norms, CN standard input out norms, they allowed it. This is one scheme. The other scheme is EPCG scheme. EPCG scheme is for export of the products, for example manufacturing of the production of the products, we require machineries or equipments. Therefore the government also allowing you to import duty free the capital goods, means machinery and equipments, so that you can use those machineries and produce the means high quality material and export the goods. So this is also good scheme, but unfortunately this is also not compatible with WTO norms. This is treated as a subsidy, so therefore it is also may go off. This scheme may not sustain long. Of course at present only the previous foreign trade policy has been extended for one more year because the replacement is not come up. Otherwise this EPCG scheme also will go off. Then duty drawback scheme, it is under the Customs Act 1962 under section 75 of the Customs Act, and this is the materials or import whatever you make on payment of duty, or you procured on payment of taxes and especially central excise duty, and you are incurred certain costs, those costs will be reimbursed to you through this scheme, duty drawback scheme. Whenever you are exporting, as a certain percent of your export FOB value, it will be reimbursed to you. So of course it is compatible with WTO norms, but other schemes which are not allowed is one of the major is MEI scheme, and EPCG scheme also will go off. These two definitely out of the year. And the next one, just I will tell you, whenever we are making export, and there are two schemes are there for export. One is on payment of tax and IGST, whatever you pay that will be refunded. The other one is without payment of tax under LUT. So ITC means input tax credit. On input stage means for the production what are the inputs are required, all those things are being on that, what are the taxes are being incurred, those things will be refunded. So here these exports are treated in under GST as a zero rated supply. There are two options are there, as I told you. One is without payment of tax under LUT, and the other one is on payment of tax IGST. And in the first case, for example, the exporters are importing or getting any of the materials on payment of any taxes, getting the materials on payment of GST, then the GST they can allow to take the ITC, means input tax credit, and this input tax credit whatever they paid is refunded, as a means ITC refunded in the first case. And in the second case, this ITC can be utilized on payment of IGST on the finished goods, means export goods, and whatever the IGST been paid, that will be refunded. So these are the two schemes are there, through which also all the taxes are being refunded, means mainly GST related, those taxes are being refunded. Okay. Now the question arises, okay, I will tell some other duty scripts are there. Over a period of time, through various foreign trade policies, we have given in many of the schemes to the exporters. Some of the schemes I tell you, the Target Plus scheme was there in foreign trade policy 2004 and 9. Then they brought with 5 broad schemes, that is means focus product scheme FPS, and focus market scheme FMS, then market linked focus product scheme ML FPS, then agri infrastructure incentive scheme, then Vishesh Krishi Gram Udyog Yojana scheme, then status holder incentive script. Like that, they brought many schemes to incentivize the exporters to so that our Indian exports will grow up. But these schemes are also not compatible, and many schemes are there, multiple schemes, but unnecessarily confusion. Then in the 2015 and 20, they brought a unified scheme. They call it MEIS, Merchandise Export from India scheme, and for the services, of course, they are given Service Export from India scheme. So these two schemes are being introduced, and as I told you, the MES scheme is not compatible with WTO norms, and it may go off. And as a preparatory mechanism, already they introduced, thought of in 2016 itself, and they brought one scheme. Some of the taxes are been not refunded, therefore they brought this scheme. This is ROSL. This means what are the taxes we are incurred, state level levies, those will be refunded. As a trial basis, they brought this scheme for the textile industry, and later it been replaced by ROSCTL. The new that scheme is introduced in 2019, and this is covers both the state level and central level taxes or levies which are not being refunded at present. So that a preparatory mechanism they already prepared to replace the MEIS, and the trial basis that started with textile industry, and now they propose to expand it. Now they call it a new scheme, is RODTEP. What is this, and all these things we will discuss now. So this is how, when it will come, of course a question mark I raised, because till now the rates are not be fixed. Only government is asking for the information or data, so that they will compile all those things, then make a proposal for the rates. So it is proposed from the new year, but as per the information, the data has to collected, and that has to be compiled, then has to come up. So it is the onus is now on the industry, not on the government, because government already taken steps to make a replacement for the MEIS scheme, and it is our onus, our responsibility to come up with the information, come up with the data. Otherwise, who are the sufferers? We are the exporters are the sufferers. So these schemes are there. This is like one is the first is the rebate of state levies, rebate of state levies. This scheme was introduced in 2016, only for limited to the textile industry, and it was discontinued. Then new scheme of this one is introduced, the rebate of state and central taxes and levies. This is a scheme they introduced, effective from the March 2019, and initially they told this will be ineffective up to 31st March 2020, because the new policy is supposed to come, because the new policy, the previous policy, foreign trade policy, that 2015-19 2015-20 supposed to end by 31st March 2020. So therefore they thought in the new policy, foreign trade policy, they bring the new scheme, but it is not happened. The foreign trade policy is as it is been extended for one more year, but MES scheme is restricted up to 31st December 2020. Okay, and for this scheme, new scheme, the cabinet also set on this March 7 and approved the continuation of the rebates of the scheme further up to April 1st 2020. From the April means new this one, once it is expired, again it is extended from this date to till the new scheme comes. Till that time it is been extended. When the new scheme is come is not known, but till that time this scheme is been extended. Okay. Now through this scheme, as I told you, all the related to state level and central level taxes and levies are being proposed to compensate. Therefore, according the rates are being fixed. This is mainly for the garment industry. These garments and made up for that only, the specific industry only, the sector they have proposed, and some of the rates like this they have fixed for this scheme. and it is now continuing it. But this scheme will be replaced once the new scheme comes up. Up to that it will continue, but this is a very limited portion opportunity. But what about the other industries which are not been having this type of schemes? And once the MEI scheme is going off by 31st December 2020, what is the next? So that is what we are calling about. What is the next? If it is an exit, what is that? This exit is certain because already signals are given, already notification has been issued that the scheme is going off, and also they made a restrictions of the scheme from the 1st of September 2020 to 31st December 2020. What are the exports you are make? Per IEC code number wise, they restricted maximum you will be entitled to 2 crores only. Means they have already started the countdown restricting the scheme proposal because funds are not available. The funds also they told maximum it will be allocated is 5,000 only, but previous year if you see it is almost like 45,000 crores, but only now that reduced to only 5,000 crores. So drastically the scheme advantages are being reduced because they have given a signal to the industry exporters, yes, you become prepared for the next scheme, we are not going to continue the scheme. So that signal is already very clearly been given to all the exporters. That is why we called now, that is why once we are talking about the panelists, me, myself and Rishabji, we thought we make this is a wake up call to the industry, wake up call to the exporters, come up, otherwise you are the losers. So for example, even that is from the 1st of September the restrictions is there up to December 31st December, but even now also the MEI scheme is not coming up. DGFT site if you go, you can check also, we have checked in fact only 3 days back. So this is the message is coming, you read the message, exporters may kindly note that the online module would be accepting MES applications for shipping bills with let export date from 1st April 2020 after adequate funds are available, then only they will open it. Means from the even 1st of the April onwards, what are the shipping you have made, for that also they are not giving you MES scheme, you are not getting any benefit of the MES scheme. Means already they started that restrictions, and this blockage also they started from the April 1st onwards, and September 1st onwards they are restricting it maximum to 2 crores per IEC. So the larger exporters will be hit very hard. Okay. And why this MES is going off, I will give some small briefing. The MES is going off because on 14th of March 2018, US government lodged a complaint with WTO saying that these schemes, they are not only MES, many other schemes also they stated, these are all schemes they stated, these all schemes are not as per the WTO norms. So under the article 3.1a and 3.2 of the subsidies and countervailing measures, that SCM, as per that these are tantamount to subsidies, not as a tax refunds or tax rebates. Therefore this MES scheme is going off, and we lost just a minute. Hello. Yes, yes, I am in meeting, sir. Please join, sir. Please join. Hello. 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 Sorry, sir. So apart from the MEI scheme, this EPCG scheme also go off. Also, they made a large complaint about EOU scheme and SCZ also. These are customs bonded premises manufacturing. So this is also have a question, but this some saving is there because we can say that it is customs bonded and only taxes will be refunded or exempted. Some thought is there, but duty free import authorization definitely will go off. Already DGFT is discouraged this scheme, by taking out lot of the benefits out of this scheme, and MESC of course, as I told you, it is going off. So now the question is, what is the next? The next, government is already given a proposal, that is what we are talking about now, the scheme, new scheme, to get the scheme, because the scheme is now they are proposing is WTO compatible, means only those taxes, levies which are there in the entire supply chain or in the entire value chain, which are not been refunded or not been given exemptions. So those now they want to bring as a new scheme. Okay. So this new scheme they want to be compatible with the WTO as a replacement of this MES scheme. Also this scheme will go off once the new scheme comes. This is only for the textile industry only, ready-made and made up exports. So this will go off. So the government of India actually in the budget speech, Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she has also announced on the 1st of February 2020 about the new scheme, and also allocated say around say $55,000 55,000 crores are being allocated for this new scheme. And later a committee has also formed on 13th of March for this, and it was chaired by the Honorable Prime Minister, because it is at Prime Minister level he is taking care to bring that scheme. But industry side the response is very poor. Prime Minister himself is involved in the committee, and he cleared this, subsequently has cleared the scheme and approved the scheme. So as per the scheme, as I told you, 55,000 crores are being allocated for the scheme. That is they call the scheme name is Remission of Duties and Taxes on Exported Products, RODTEP. So this is the new scheme they are proposing. Okay. Further also lot of actions are being taken. As I told you, announcement of the finance minister in the budget speech on the 1st of February 2020. Then subsequently a committee is formed, chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, and it's been approved.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Somnath Rana, stop presenting.
Yeah. Okay. On 13th March 2020, then after the Central Board of the Indirect Taxes formed a committee, and they also announced this one notification circular, and what are the requirements and other thing also they told. Then now the government is seeking information. On 10th of August, the central CBIC, they have received another circular asking the information from the all the export promotion councils, commodity boards, to interact with industry and exporters to get the information. Okay, these are the some of the schemes. Levies and taxes at the state level and central level are not being refunded at present. So they are also noted down. These are these their items are there. Further, of course, my other panelists will discuss in detail. But these are the some of the state levies. Also for central levies, these are not being refunded at present. So these are want to get refund in the new scheme. So that is the purpose of the new scheme. And also you see on the VAT on the transportation, for example, that is in agriculture and a lot of industries which are transportation is a large component of the cost, and there is inbuilt cost of the VAT or central GST also, which is not being refunded at present, because GST is not there, but sorry, the VAT and the central excise duty, these are not being refunded. And similarly other taxes and levies are there. For agriculture, for example, mandi tax, electricity which are being consumed in large amounts, so there the electricity duty also been an element of the cost. So these are taken as a cost into our export products. Therefore our exports are not being competitive, so they want to refund this all the details. Okay, the objective is, as I told you, to refund this which have been embedded in this entire value chain, lot of taxes, levies at various levels, state level and the central level or local levels also, those will be refunded. That is the purpose of this. Of course, various salient features my other panelists will tell. For each of the product, at least 5 industries has to represent, they has to give the data. For each of the HSN wise, each of the product, at least 5 companies or industry, means organizations has to give the information. And what are the information, other things will be discussed by next panelist. But just to talk about this, suppose we are food industry, there are many levies are there at value chain. If you say backward, then many levies are there which are been incurred as a cost, but those are not been refunded by the any of the schemes. Now I told you all the schemes at the beginning, those are the schemes available. Out of those schemes, none of them is giving the refund or rebate of these levies at various stages. Of course, other panelists will discuss with specific instances, but just I am telling you some of the case in the food industry. So there are the 3 forms are there: R1, R2, R3. These has to be filled up, and the data has to be collected from the 1st of this October 2019 to 31st March 2020. And HSN wise, each of the product, at least 5 units has to be given this detail. So I am not going with further I am closing. Okay, this is already we discussed. I am not going with this one. Means various stages we have incurring lot of taxes and duties. Then this is the first, finally we are talking about. This is a wake up call. Be prepared, come out with the data, forward to the government, and of course we are there to assist you to go ahead, and we will compile your data and we will recommend to the government, and therefore you will be benefiting. With this I want to close it, and of course the contact details are there, either Rishabh ji or Vivek ji or myself you can contact. With this I want to stop and the next panelist take the session. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. Thanks to all the panelists and organizers. Thanks.
Thank you, Panigre sir.
I'm stop the sharing so that next you can start this presentation.
So I now request to Sri Rishabh Kumar Sanchuka from Gurgaon to give a presentation on food sector export and integrating this new scheme. Sri Rishabh ji.
Thank you, Nayak ji. Thank you, Panigre ji, for a wonderful presentation and explaining the nitty-gritty of the scheme, and also taking the August gathering through the past schemes as well as the future forward. And I also thank you, Mr. Nayak Babu, and also Mr. Sahu, for organizing this event for the benefit of the members as well as the chambers and trade forums who are supporting the export in this country. So I just want to take you through the food export value chain. So I will make a short presentation, and after that my next panelist, Mr. Vivek Gupta, will talk about how this entire process will be concluded logically. So before that, let me first tell you that today India is growing food in abundance in certain areas, and that is the reason even during the pandemic time we are able to distribute food to our people in this stressed time. Now this is not sufficient. We have to export, and I understand that our East Coast is very much into export of seafood, a big exporter of seafood, as well as the other variety of rice as well as different type of food, processed food items from the East Coast is exported to countries like Europe, America, Japan, etc. Before we go to RODTP, as Mr. Panigrahi told all of us, that this scheme is right now at the stage when government is asking us to provide the data. They want to know what are your hidden duties, levies and taxes, which are not good for the exporter to remain competitive, as well as we have to remain compliant with WTO. So with this, we have to balance out and we have to figure out what all data is important. And if you see the form R3, and I'm sure those who are exporter might have looked at the forms, but even if you have not looked at the form, I'm just going to tell you today that look at the form R3, where you will find 3-4 very critical items in the food export, because food doesn't come from factory. Actually, food come from farm. So if you see the farm or even the fishermen, so they use a lot of inputs. The biggest input is energy, whether energy is used for irrigation or energy is used for transportation or energy is used for milling. Energy is used everywhere. So on electricity, there is a duty. Then you use seed, pesticide, insecticide, fertilizers, you use fungicides as well as micronutrients. All of these items are subject to GST. Now where that GST goes, nobody knows, because the value chain of farmer or up to mandi is not under GST, but there is a cost. So that cost has to be evaluated when, as an export promotion council or as an export body, you are going to fill up the RODTP form and tell the government that this is what incentive or this is what refund, not incentive. Incentive is not allowed. So you have to tell the government that this is what you need as a percentage on the FOB. So if you see in this chart, I have tried to give you an idea of upstream to downstream, input, supply, pre-production stage, production, post-harvest, storage, trading and processing. Up to this level, whatever is incurred, whether it's a farmer or it's a middleman or it's a transporter or it's a miller. So one have to see that what are the current regulation and policies in terms of state levy like mandi tax, electricity duty, VAT and excise on diesel. Of course, certain exclusions have been prescribed because government may or may not want to give that back for certain strategic reason. However, one has to pitch the complete strong case that when the food is exported from the country, I'm taking a unit UQC. UQC is very important for your RODTP form because you have to take one unit. So for example, I'm taking 1 ton of basmati rice, which is India is a largest exporter of basmati, and we are competing with Pakistan, Vietnam, Thailand in terms of rice. China is also growing rice now. So India has a supreme command in the export market. Now when we are going to export in 2021, how we are going to deal with it? So we need to know that what are the stages a basmati from paddy to rice goes off. So paddy reaches seed, plantation, flood irrigation, transport, pesticide, fertilizer. So why I am using the word flood irrigation? Because flood irrigation require a lot of energy. You have to actually burn, if you don't have canal water or it's a hybrid canal plus diesel, you have to actually do borewell, use borewell, and borewell runs from electricity. Then stage 2, you have to use pesticide, fertilizer, cultivate, irrigation, harvesting and transport to the area, to the mandi where it is bought and sold. Then you're cleaning, drying, warehousing, fumigation, and ultimately it goes to milling where it is sorted, packed, transported, and you get the export quality basmati rice. Now in this process, we are actually exporting to these 10 big countries: Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, UAE, Kuwait, Yemen, USA, UK, Oman and Jordan. More than $4 billion worth of basmati is exported every year. which means a lot of hidden taxes might go next year if we don't look at this now, because now government is asking you to provide the data of 5 company minimum, which should include small as well as large companies, large exporters. What they are asking is, in the entire process of farm to mandi to milling and ultimately going to export, what are the hidden taxes, duties, levies? Just figure them out, scientifically calculate, work them out, and give it to the government for the consideration. Whether it's a diesel, electricity, pesticide, fertilizer, transport, on the farm level or at the mandi level, mandi tax, transport. Mandi tax is 4% in Punjab. Punjab and Haryana. Haryana it is 2%, Punjab it is 4%. Big amount. In terms of when you look at this amount in aggregation, it is a very, very big amount, but it will impact our country's export competitiveness to a large extent. So you have to focus on Form R3, wherein there are sub columns 2F, 2G, 2H, and 2I that need to be considered very, very carefully, so that our entire food value chain, we remove the taxes. For example, in the food, when you clean the food, when you clean the paddy, you remove the something, right? Similarly, we have to remove the taxes which we can remove and then claim it back from the government in terms of percentage of FOB. Now in Odisha, as I was told by the organizers, MSME, that aluminium product, iron ore, processed mineral, steel, marine, residue chemical, textile, there are a lot of handicraft also. Filigree of Cuttack is very, very famous. Now all these items, you have to do a similar exercise. The way I am telling you, we have to do a similar staging from the beginning till the end, so that we remove the tax portion, duty portion, and other state levies which are right now troubling the pricing of our export. As per I just summarize it, period you have to take 6-month period from 1st October till 31st March 2020. For that 6 month, all the documentary support for whatever we claim, we have to provide notification circular, we have to certify it by a chartered accountant or cost accountant. Then the participation of MSME as well as large players. So they don't want only large player to come forward. They want even the MSME, the small players. Today they are small, tomorrow they may become large if their price is competitive. So this is an opportunity, this is a wake-up call, that let us work together as a chamber, as an export promotion body, and figure out 5 is minimum. It is not all. If 15 people want to contribute, no issues, so that your representation become more powerful, it will become more logical, and it will have a weight when it will go to the process. My next panelist Vivek Gupta ji will tell that how the process will work within the various government department, and what are the new changes which you should be careful about in terms of RODTP. It is not like earlier scheme, it is a different scheme, different body has been formed, so that Mr. Gupta will tell you. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me. This is what I wanted to tell. My details are available, and happy to help anyone in this exercise, because it's a time-bound exercise.
Thank you, Rishabh-ji, for your wonderful presentation. Now I request Sri Vivek Gupta-ji from New Delhi to explain on this new scheme.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naik. Very good afternoon to Mr. Saukant Sahu, and again to Mr. Naik, and to my fellow panelists, Mr. Rishabh, Mr. Panigrahi, and to all the participants, a hearty welcome to this event. And first of all, I would like to say that the theoretical aspects and the practical aspects have been wonderfully explained by my colleagues already. So I will not delve upon those aspects. My idea is primarily to really explain the interplay of the government departments in this scheme. So first of all, let me start by giving a background, as Mr. Panigrahi has already said so, but there is a deeper background, that initially WTO objection to the MEIS scheme was mostly on garments, and it has come last year only in 2019. So in 2019, the Textile Ministry had already started a scheme which was primarily called the ROSL scheme, which was the rebate of central and state excise duties and taxes like that. So this scheme was already announced last year, and some rates were also announced for textile sector. However, subsequently WTO raised the objection to the entire exports from India covering all the sectors, and hence the discontinuance of MEIS scheme. But now what has happened that instead of Commerce Ministry, the control of this new scheme has come to the Finance Ministry. So the Finance Ministry on 30th July has announced a special committee. So this committee is not under DGFT, I repeat, this is under Finance Ministry. So under Finance Ministry, there is a duty drawback directorate. Some of you who may be senior exporters here may be aware of this duty drawback directorate, which is based in New Delhi in Jeevandeep building in Parliament Street. And this office has been responsible for fixing the specific duty incidences rates for export products over a long period of time, in fact, almost more than 30 years. In fact, I started advising on these schemes in the year 1985. So I have been doing it since 35 years, and I have been observing this duty drawback directorate in action even before that time. So now coming back to this committee formation, on 30th July a circular has been taken out, and basically the duty drawback directorate under its joint secretary Mr. Sinha has been given the entire charge of formation of DODP rates. And 3 senior members, in fact the senior most member is Mr. G.K. Pillai, and he was luckily at one point of time Commerce Secretary also. So he is fully seized of all the aspects of export, import. And the other 2 members are Mr. Parande and Mr. Gautam Ray. They are again retired members of CBEC from Customs and Central Excise. So the point I am trying to make here is that if we look at the rates which were announced for textile products, then we get a figure of hardly about 1 to 3%. And as you will kindly observe that the MEIS rates for quite a few items were as close to as 5%. So the point I am trying to make here is that what my colleagues Mr. Rishabh and Mr. Panigrahi also emphasized, that it is very important that at every stage the incidence is taken out, and I would specifically request Mr. Sahu, Mr. Naik to liaise with other such agencies like MPEDA, EEPC based out of Bhubaneswar, so that more exporters are able to submit the data. And another government aspect which I would like to point out, that they have put a particular limit to the entire incentive as such. So previously this was capped at 40,000 crores. Now it has been revised to 50,000 crores. So why I am saying this is that if the total basket is limited out of which the incentive has to be given, then basically whichever industry makes a detailed approach and representation to their export promotion council, that will get the full benefit. So to give a background of that, this committee immediately after formation on 30th July, they have floated initially a letter on 5th of August to all the councils, and subsequently on 10th of August, they have floated this letter, and I have the entire list here with me, which is very important to understand that this has gone to 23 export promotion councils, which I will not take the full detailed list that is available on the circular, which is dated 10th of August, and this has been issued by Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue. This is the called drawback division. So it is very important to understand that DGFT has no administrative role now to play in the announcement of the rates. So the facility, because WTO's entire blame was that this scheme is not a MEIS scheme, is not really a duty sort of refund being given in lieu of taxes and duties. They were calling it an award. So to avoid that blame now, Ministry of Finance, it has taken upon itself to fix the rates so that they can be directly called the RODTP scheme, which in full form is remission of duties and taxes embedded in the product. So again, coming back to the letter of 10th August has gone to 23 export promotion councils and about 7 commodity boards, and this also has the Marine Product Export Development Authority. Kochi is their headquarters, but I am told they have an office in Bhubaneswar also. And then all the trade industry associations have also received this circular. But as Mr. Panigrahi was already sharing with you, that whatever feedback we are receiving from the government department and also from Engineering Export Promotion Council, that because of maybe the return filing time and everything, and because of COVID and many other things, it is very difficult for the data to come by. But I would again request your good offices of MSME to advise all the people, and if there is any support required, we at Cymex, Bid Street and Mr. Panigrahi are always available to help. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Nayak.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for updating the new scheme that has been Mr. Finance is trying to settle the rate. We have communicated to Q for their feedback. One DPM is there, Directorate of Export Promotion and Marketing, Government of Odisha is there. We are also liaising with them because of COVID situation. So we are getting late response. Still, we are working on with the PCs and state government departments involving export promotion. So we'll move to question answer.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So anybody have any question, please? Any question, please ask to particular panelist. Swastik Sinha was asking regarding cloth products. Swastik.
Nayak Babu,
Yeah.
there are number of questions they have already written in that blog. If you can spell out one by one the experts, they can also give the reply.
सर नमस्कार।
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 सर ये मनोरंजन मोहन कौन?
आज्ञा सर। हेलो।
आप किए कହୁଛନ୍ତି?
सर रंजन कुमार महाराणा कହୁଛି सिल्वर तारकसी।
କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
सब हमरो जो ए जो तारकसी ट्रेनिंग दिया गलानी
हिंदी रे टिके कुहନ୍ତୁ द एक्सपोर्ट फ्रॉम आउटसाइड हिंदी रे कुहନ୍ତୁ।
हिंदी में, हाँ हिंदी से बोल रहा है। हमारा जो उड़ीसा में तारकसी का ट्रेनिंग कितना साल हो गया देने के लिए?
तारकसी ट्रेनिंग कौन दिया था?
नहीं, आपका कोई तारकसी का ट्रेनिंग मिल रहा है?
तारकसी ट्रेनिंग इज डिफरेंट थिंग। अपन आज जो डिस्कशन हैला रिगार्डिंग एक्सपोर्ट फूड एक्सपोर्ट एंड अदर एक्सपोर्ट्स फ्रॉम ओडिशा न्यू स्कीम सेतिरे कोन क्वेश्चन अछि कोन?
और सेटा कहबी तो ठीक है ना। सेटा पई आपण यदि अनुमति वो सामान के लिए हमको यदि अनुमति मिलेगा, हम भी सारा देश में काम तो लेके जा रहा है, दिल्ली बम्बई हर जगह तो काम लेके जा रहा है। अभी तो 2 साल के लिए हमारा काम बंद हो गया। इस जनवरी फरवरी से अभी तक 6-7 महीना हो गया, एक भी व्यापार भी नहीं हो रहा है और काम भी एक्सपोर्ट नहीं हो रहा है। अभी गवर्नमेंट का गाइडलाइन का जो कोविड के लिए सबका संस्था बंद हो गया।
आपका प्रोडक्ट क्या है, जरा बताएंगे सत्यजीत जी?
हमारा प्रोडक्ट है सिल्वर फिलिग्री।
हाँ, समझ गया। तो सिल्वर फिलिग्री का आप रजिस्ट्रेशन आपने ट्राइफेड के बारे में सुना है? ट्राइफेड और जो
हाँ, ट्राइफेड के बारे में सुना है सब।
हाँ, अमेजोन और ट्राइफेड और आपका गवर्नमेंट का भी जो है ई मार्केट प्लेस है, जहाँ पे सारे गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट अपनी अपनी प्रोक्योरमेंट डालते हैं। और अभी जितने भी पीएसयू हैं, जितने भी गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट है, उनको ऑनलाइन ही खरीदना है। तो आप अपना एसोसिएशन के द्वारा अपने प्रोडक्ट को वहाँ लिस्ट करिए। हो सकता है आपको ऑनलाइन ऑर्डर डायरेक्टली मिलने लग जाएंगे गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से।
सर सुनिए सर, हेलो।
हाँ बताइए।
हाँ, मैं बोल रहा हूँ, हमारे तो उर्मास के लिए जो सरस मेला होता है, वो मेले के तो हम जा रहे हैं। अभी तो मेले बंद हो गया। ये जितना भी हमारा कारीगर लोग काम बनाती है, अभी काम हम किसी से नहीं बिक्री नहीं कर सकते।
अभी कोविड सिचुएशन में ये जो इट्स नॉट पॉसिबल कि जो एग्जीबिशन होगा, तो आपको ई मार्केटिंग, जैसे ऋषभ सर बोल रहे थे, ई कॉमर्स प्लेटफॉर्म अमेजन, फ्लिपकार्ट, ट्राइफेड, गवर्नमेंट ई मार्केट प्लेस, यू हैव टू रजिस्टर। आप उसमें रजिस्टर करके यू कैन सेल योर प्रोडक्ट। आपको अमेजन
अगर आप लोगों को उस पर ट्रेनिंग चाहिए, तो मेरे पास काफी सारे ट्रेनर हैं जो मैं उनको बोलूंगा, नायक बाबू आपसे कनेक्ट करेंगे, तो आप लोगों का ट्रेनिंग करवा दीजिए कि बेसिक कैसे इसमें करते हैं, क्या करना है, वो हो सकता है।
पोर्टल में आपको कैसे प्रोडक्ट अपलोड करना है, जैसे जैम में कैसे करना है, अमेजन में कैसे करना है, ट्राइफेड में कैसे करना है, फ्लिपकार्ट में प्रोडक्ट कैसे करना है, ई कॉमर्स पोर्टल में कैसे आप प्रोडक्ट को ग्लोबली रीच कर सकते हैं। तो उसमें हम नेक्स्ट टाइम विल आपका जो सजेशन है उसके हिसाब से विल कॉन्टेक्ट करके। थैंक यू।
क्यों साहब, हम बोल रहा हूँ। हेलो जी।
हाँ,
हम बोल रहे हैं जो तारकसी का काम भी ट्रेनिंग जो हो रहा है ना, अभी धीरे धीरे काम बंद हो जाएगा। काम धीरे धीरे बंद हो गया, लेकिन अभी प्रोडक्ट भी बच्चे लोग काम सीखने के लिए भी तैयार नहीं होती है। ये गवर्नमेंट का कुछ हेल्प नहीं मिलेगा तो वो अगला साल में वो संस्था बंद हो जाएगा।
ठीक है, हम
इसको पहले बचाना चाहिए।
जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरी एक्सपोर्ट प्रमोशन काउंसिल कोलकाता, उसके साथ बात करेंगे। एंड आपका जो सिल्वर फिलिग्री प्रोडक्ट इन उड़ीसा, कुछ टाइप करेंगे, कुछ कैसे ट्रेनिंग हो सकता है डिस्कस करेंगे। ठीक है।
क्यों सर, हम बोल रहा हूँ, ये कुछ काम जो नया काम बनीती है, गोपचन है और कंटा कंगन है, वो सब काम, गोलाप फूल है, वो सब काम धीरे धीरे बंद हो गया न। क्यों? हमारा पापा जी लोग काम करती है, लेकिन हम लोग का बाद में हमारे बच्चे काम सीखने के लिए तैयार नहीं होती। ये गवर्नमेंट का भी अभी 8 साल हो गया, कोविड हो गया, लेकिन कोविड में हमको एक पैसा भी गवर्नमेंट का नहीं मिला। किसी गवर्नमेंट का साथ कुछ नहीं मिला अभी तक।
Okay, that is state government issue.
नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जानते हैं हाउ ये बड़ा कथा हवा। नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन
विल डिस्कस लेटर। आउ जन स्पीकर हमरा आउ जन पार्टिसिपेंट क्वेश्चन करा जदी हाउ ठीक है। मिस्टर सुनील गुलेकर।
गुड इवनिंग सर। आई हैव अ डाउट रिगार्डिंग ROSL। जो ROSL स्कीम है, उसमें द एक्सपोर्टर्स आर गिवन लाइसेंसेस विदाउट गेटिंग द BRCs, मतलब even before the payment is released from the importers, their importers, we are actually the traders of licenses. So we are purchasing licenses from the exporters, and the BRCs are still not received by the exporters. They have been given the incentive from the government, and we buy those licenses. Supposing if this BRC are not released by them in future, what will be the consequence of it?
What whom you want to ask, Mr. Pranigai?
Okay, let me answer. Actually, there is a prima facie some principles are there. Whenever you are exporting, sir, realization must be there. You are not exporting simply samples or simply free of cost. These incentives are linked to, subject to your realizations. If you getting your bank realization, then how the government also will give to you? Means you are not doing
currently in the ROSL scheme, the exporters are getting it without realization itself. The exporters are getting the
But later you must have, those exporters will get the notices also if they're not getting the realization as per the RBI at present within 9
Who will
months.
be-
No, listen. Within 9 months from the date of export, you must get the consideration whatever that through banking channel you should get the money back for your exports.
Who will be liable? Who will be liable to the government if supposing the realization is not
The exporter, because exporter is supposed to get the realization, so the exporter will get the notices if he's not getting within 9 months. 9 months is
But the
given period by the
importer supposing if an importer is purchasing a license from the exporter, is he safe? Is he not going to be troubled by the government
No.
for utilizing such licenses?
For issue of the license, that RBI, ERBC, instead from the, now everything is electronic. EBRC it has been called. EBRC is essential now. EBRC has to get it. Then they will issue this.
My doubt is different, sir. My doubt is
No,
supposing.
let me, I think, Sunil, the question which you are asking is exactly a legal question, and the liability will be to you as well as to the exporter. So we are not, so because today you are the person who has availed the benefit. So, and I think you are buying these scripts basically to get some concession in your duty, right?
Correct,
That is
correct.
the basic idea. So so my dear, this concession is coming to you definitely, as you have very rightly understood, it is definitely coming with a risk attached. So be careful that you are buying from the exporters with whom you are in constant touch to get those ERCs and keep yourself safe. That is what I would like to say. Thank you, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. Am I audible? I'm Rajan Padhi here.
Yes, Mr. Rajan, please go on.
So my question is, like all of us know who are actually involved with the international trade, that the remission of duty and taxes, this obligation was there with Government of India till March 31st as per the WTO obligations. Because of the COVID, it was extended right up to 31st of December. But the question doesn't write that. Like we know the basic fundamentals on which RODEP has been built up or conceptualized. The question is, why keep the rate of all industry rate in abeyance? Why does the government doesn't pronounce a very clear roadmap so the exporter knows that here I am getting a MEI is going away?
No, I think, Mr. Rajan, I understand your point, and my answer is almost sounding like a government official, but the shortest answer that I can give you, that there is a basket of the finance ministry where taxes are coming in, and from there only the benefits are going out. So what has happened now, that the GST collections, as you are aware, have already dipped to the minimum possible. There is already a big fight amongst various state ministries and central ministry for the distribution of whatever they have in that pack. So what has happened is that state requirements are taking precedence over the requirement of the exporters. So today, I think I can tell you, I stay here in New Delhi and the FIO headquarters is right next door to me, and already FIO is working on that. So basically the exporters, as we are rightly saying, the exporters have to exercise pressure, and I totally agree with you that basically duty drawback had no reason to be withheld, but there are two reasons. One is pressure from WTO, and the second is the shortage of funds with government. That's all I can say.
No, so actually, Mr. The FIO, the DG, Mr. Ajay Sai is a very close friend of mine. I know that. My question fundamentally is very simple, sir. Indirect taxes, like the basic fundamental.
I think, Mr. Rajan, this issue, me and you, we can discuss it offline, because this is a very lengthy issue and a very long debate.
Sir, my perspective is very simple, sir. My perspective is indirect tax, like whatever indirect tax, it has come up because trade and commerce has been devastated by the pandemic. If all the sectors do not open up, GST collection cannot go up. It is fundamentally a reality we mentally has to reconcile. a 47,000 crores or a 50,000 crores of collection of revenue, the shortfall of GST is understandable. I don't deny that. The question is, when it comes to policy matters, there is no revenue outflow as such. Well, January 1st, 2021 is still far off. But why not have a clear guideline on what RoDTEP stands for all industry? Like, that is my question. Like MEIS, you had so much revisions. Like it was dropped from 7 to 5%, then it is withdrawn with a 2 crore cap till December 31st. That is all right. So if you have a policy for the other matters, why not on the remission of duty and taxes?
Okay, Mr. Rajan, let me attempt to answer your query. I think you are actually saying that first of all, we have to understand that MEIS is going because it was an incentive. It was not a refund of tax. Now RoDTEP is coming because they want to refund the tax. So they cannot simply say that RoDTEP will be relabeled, repackaged. We will repackage the MEIS. Then again we will stuck at WTO. So they are building a consensus, and as rightly told by Mr. Panigrahi, that 55,000 crore is the basket. Now from that basket, every export promotion body will get their fair share. That okay, in your industry, these are the hidden taxes. You go claim it, get it, and then it will be defined, and no WTO can challenge it. So right now, our purpose of this gathering is that let us proactively go to the government and protect our interest for the future. As an export industry, this is an industry matter, and every industry has a peculiarity. Food exporters.
Exactly, sir. Mr. Rishabh, I just wanted to impress upon you. Unless I know my own pros and cons, how do I strategize my export beyond January? That is the question for an exporter. That is my question. I know WTO because all the countries, 164 members of the WTO as on date, no taxes can be exported. That is a fundamental rule of WTO. So that is reflecting on the remittance of taxes, of duties and taxes on export products. That's a different thing. Once we comply to that is why this RoDTEP is being adopted. That I understand. Fundamentally, I understand. I know all the features of this policy. The only which has not been pronounced in the entire remission of duty and taxes is the rate, industry-specific rate. And how does the industry gear up for international competition? Because the international financial year is from January to December, unlike in India, from April to 31st. And sir, as far as GST is concerned, with all my conviction, I can say August collections will be definitely much higher.
Rajan sir, I think we are digressing too much. We appreciate your understanding of Indian macroeconomy, but we are working on a very small topic and a very small subject here.
So
please allow the discussion. Please, no, it's okay. It's okay. Please allow the discussion to go on. If you want to discuss this issue, I'm requesting you have Rishabh's number on the screen. You take it, and we'll continue this discussion. But let us please understand if there is any issue of anybody else in respect to RoDTEP.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Harshad.
Just a minute, sir. Just a minute. Hello. Sir, we are representing Chorus India Limited. My question is how to calculate that RoDTEP details on a product basis. On like if you say electricity bill of amount so and so, how to calculate that electricity bill on number of products, or how to calculate that GST on petrol and all that, how to make calculations of.
Panigrahi ji, you would like to take up?
Okay. Of course, there is a specific period is there for which data has to be collected. But what Rishabh ji has shown and Gupta ji also talking about, we have to go dig down the value chain. Entire value chain you have to understand, and each of the in the entire value chain, what are various incidences of taxes, duties, etc. are there, which are levies, local levies, which are not being at present getting refunded or rebated. For that we have to work out, and for you that is where then experts are required, and we are available to help you. For you, we have to understand your industry entirely from your export product and backward entire value chain, how it is built up, and that is what Rishabh ji has shown in the Basmati case, the agriculture product. Similar, like we had to dig down the means entire value chain, and where all the different types of like mandi tax or electricity duty or various other levies are being there, those things has to be worked out. That is why you require certain experts advice and services. We are available to you, and if you have any product and other thing, you come out to us, and numbers are known. You can
Firstly,
discuss
you
with
should
the
come out
Naik
with your association, because it's a industry exercise. It's a research which industry level we have to do with minimum 5 members. Then only it will be accepted by the DGFT. So you have to work with your industry association or trade body and collectively come with 2 big player or 2, 3, 4 small and medium player, so that Panigreji and we can actually sit on the templates are very clear that at the HSN level we have to backward all the data. For example, electricity bill, your unit quantity, first of all you have to choose that what is your unit quantity, UQC, and accordingly you have to work out that okay, for producing of this unit or exporting this unit, how much electricity you are being consumed in the downstream, how much mandi tax is embedded in this. So this is an exercise government is asking, because they have to give a scientific manner. They have to give this remission. They cannot give it like a straightforward incentive, 5%, 2%, 3%. It will not happen like that. That will again get stuck at WTO level. So that is why this scientific study is being called for.
So is there any last date or something, or is there any date cutoff or something for that submission of information?
Yes, 31st December I believe is the
No, 31st October is the date.
Oh, October, sorry. It's a 1 month now.
31st December is for the committee to announce the rates. For committee to receive the data, it is 31st October.
Okay, and before 30th October, we have to submit all the information.
You have to submit all the information to your Export Promotion Council, and they will forward it to the Duty Drawback Directorate. You cannot directly send to them.
Where are you from, Harsha? Where are you from?
Okay. We are from Chorus India Limited, Mumbai.
Delhi.
Mumbai.
Okay. You have to contact that MSMEDI Mumbai is there, otherwise FIO or any Export Promotion Council at Mumbai, so that they can take your data and forward it.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Any question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Amrita Sabat, Sabat Exports Private Limited. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Tell me.
Yes. Okay. So I wanted to ask that the limit for the courier parcel is 25,000, and above that, if the amount of the parcel comes, then we do a commercial invoice. So we had heard that this 25,000 limit will be going up. So first question is, has that happened? And second question is that below 25,000, a lot of parcels we send, 1 sari, 2 sari, those are all below 25,000, and we don't get any GST refund on that. In fact, during filing GST, we have to write it as if it is an Odisha sale. And then we have to give CGST, SGST, because we are not making a commercial invoice. So we are not getting a shipping bill. Sir, can you clarify how we will solve this problem?
Rishabh, can you reply this?
Yeah, so you are saying that for courier export, you are not able to claim the refund or GST refund, right?
Yes, sir. Below 25,000, not able to claim, but above 25,000, we are doing commercial invoice. Hence, we are able to get the refund.
Okay. So, why cannot you make an invoice for 25,000?
No, that problem is very, I think you already understand it yourself, because your transaction is not a commercial transaction. Hence, you will not be under the registered exporter category, hence you will not get the benefit. So on the small value transaction, there is no help which can come. So it is your decision as a company whether you want to undertake the small consignment or not.
Sir, one clarification. Sir, we want to make everything as a commercial invoice, even 8,000 वाला parcel. लेकिन sir, उसमें logistic cost ही ज़्यादा हो जाएगा than the cost of the sari. Because when we do commercial invoice, extra 2,000 to 3,000 का value लग जाता है हमको logistic के लिए. How will we?
So basically, you have rightly understood. So you have to compare the cost and benefit. So you have to compare this, whatever extra you are paying, compared to the incentives. And I think if I understand your situation correctly, you will find that the cost benefit analysis will not allow you to do a commercial invoicing. So that will be, you will be more into a loss than a profit.
Let me tell you one more thing. In India, lot of commercial shipment, small shipment of small value are coming as a gift or samples. Now Indian government is very much cautious about this because lot of e-commerce companies are doing this. So you have to be very cautious about the import country also, because similarly every countries are now looking at B2C e-commerce shipment very, very cautiously, because one shipment may be a small amount, but 1 lakh shipment could be a very big amount. So be careful about that also from the importing country perspective.
Sir, one follow-up question can I ask?
Please.
Sir, different countries have lot of different duty, those calculations, which every time the courier company is not able to tell us for certain. So, for example, if we send one parcel, then we are forced to under invoice because we cannot tell the customer what will be the duty charged, and the customer will also not pay. And suppose only 10,000 ka value ka parcel hai, then they will never agree to pay 3,000 or something, maybe whatever duty charge. So all that charge comes on us, sir. How to solve this?
That is why I am saying that you have to be careful about the compliance of the importing country, because tomorrow it should not happen that your shipments are banned, because Indian government has banned a couple of companies who are importing material in the name of sample. But if you want to know the duty structure and you want to upfront tell your customer, for example, if you buy anything from Amazon US, they will tell that in India this much of the duty component you have to pay. So it will be added in the cost. Similarly, on India Trade Portal, which is a government portal, you can check any country's import and export duty rates and all the other compliances very easily available. I am just writing the website name here. You can actually check about your products.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Anybody have a question?
Yes, so this is Dr. Anita Sagar. Just now you heard my sister Amrita. So we have this question that we are not importing anything from outside. What we want is we just want to export. And whatever we export, whether it is for 1,000 or 10,000, irrespective of the amount, we want all that amount to be considered as exports. And it should be added. Why should we have to pay extra duties? And why should the customer also? Means there has to be some system in place which can take into account whatever we send as export. We started our company just because we want our products to go outside, and other people, they should buy from us. They should take our products. Unless all that is given as credit to us, it should come that our company has exported X amount, which is not the case right now. We have to under invoice, and that's such a bad thing. Why isn't the government doing something about this? What can we do to get all that accounted to our company?
Anigre sir?
Yeah.
One part.
So whenever you have commercial invoice, the realization you get through banking channel, definitely that incentive corresponding to that benefits you will get entitled. But if you're not doing through commercial channels, commercial invoice and through banking channels, definitely you will not get any of the incentives or benefits. The simple fundamental. So further, of course, we are talking about one subject, you are taking another subject. Definitely we will help you. You contact us, any of us, we will help you, we will advise you. Okay. and my numbers and I think from Ms. Naik you can take. He has complete our details. Off the line you can discuss so that we can help you. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody, any question? So, thank you, Sri Panigrahi sir. Thank you, Vivek Gupta ji. Thank you, Rishabh ji, for giving you wonderful time and explaining the queries by our participants. We hope that in your future you will support us. In near future webinar you will attend and also discuss the new schemes and guidelines on export. So I now request sir will stop the meeting now, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Rishabh ji. Once again, thank you, Gupta ji. Thank you, Panigrahi sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sahu. Thank you, Mr. Nayak. Thank you, and see you again. Thank you.
We see you for the future. We see you for the future. Thank you. Thank you all.
Bye.
The meeting is over.